Okay, so let's just jump right in. When you hear the term artificial intelligence, your mind probably goes straight to Silicon Valley, right? To lines of code, to something that feels like it just popped up in the last few years. But here's the thing. The dream of AI, it isn't new at all. It's actually a story that's centuries old, woven right into the fabric of human imagination.
And really, this whole journey, it all boils down to this one single massive question. Can a machine think? And this isn't just a technical question for programmers. It's a deeply philosophical one that has obsessed inventors, storytellers, and dreamers for generations.
And what's so wild is that we were asking this question long before we had anything that even looked like a computer. The laptops and servers we have today, super recent. But the core idea, that desire to create an intelligent machine, oh, that's ancient.
To find the real origin story of AI, we've got to go back. I mean, way back. Forget labs and sterile rooms. We're talking about the stories we told around the fire. Yeah, it's as old as our myths.
So let's start right there, in that world of folklore, because this is where we see the very first sketches, the first rough drafts of artificial life, ages before a single line of code was ever written.
I mean, think about it. The ancient Greeks told stories about Talos, this giant automaton made of bronze, built by a god to protect an entire island. And then you've got the Golem from Jewish folklore, a powerful being sculpted from clay and brought to life with magic to defend a community. These stories, they show us this deep, timeless human fascination with creating intelligent, non-human beings to help us out.
Okay, so that's the dream. But how did we get from these magical stories to the first real steps of science? How do you make that leap from a clay protector to the actual blueprints for a thinking machine?
Well, it definitely didn't happen overnight. It was a slow burn. It starts in the 17th century, with philosophers just kind of wondering, hey, are animals just really complicated machines? Then you fast forward to the 19th century, and a guy named Charles Babbage actually designs a mechanical computer called the analytical engine. And that's where the amazing Ada Lovelace comes in, writing what we now consider the world's very first computer program for his machine.
And Lovelace's insight here is just, it's incredible. She totally saw both the power and the limits of this new idea. She understood it could follow any order you gave it, even complex ones, but she made this critical point. It couldn't come up with anything new on its own. And that very debate she started, can AI be genuinely creative, is still one of the biggest questions we're wrestling with today.
All right, so the stage is set. We have the philosophy, we have the first mechanical ideas. Now let's leap forward to the 20th century, because this is where that long, ancient dream finally gets a name and becomes a real field of study.
In 1950, the absolute genius Alan Turing came along and basically said, look, let's stop arguing about whether a machine is thinking. Let's just create a practical test. His idea? If a machine can have a conversation with you and you can't tell for sure if it's a machine or a person, well, it passes. So simple, but so brilliant. It gave the whole field its first clear target to aim for.
And then, just 6 years after that, it got its official name. At a summer conference at Dartmouth College, a group of scientists formally coined the term artificial intelligence. And just like that, the dream wasn't just a dream anymore. It was a legitimate field of science, with a community ready to chase it down. Now you'd think, great, they've got a name, they've got a goal, it's all smooth sailing from here, right? Nope. Not even close. The story of AI for the rest of the 20th century was a total roller coaster of massive highs and really crushing lows. The early days were just filled with this incredible optimism. I mean, they were building programs that could solve tough algebra problems, that could play checkers. The researchers were so hyped, they genuinely believed that human-level AI was maybe just a decade or two away. But then, they slammed into a wall. A huge, invisible one. These early AI systems were amazing in these very narrow, logical worlds, but they were missing something so fundamental, something that literally every little kid possesses. And that missing piece? It was common sense. All the simple, unspoken stuff we just know about the world, like water's wet or you can't use a rope to push something. Trying to program that into a machine turned out to be unbelievably hard. And that failure, the failure to crack the common sense problem, led to funding drying up and a long, cold period known as the AI winter. But hey, winter never lasts forever, right? And when the spring finally came for AI, it wasn't just a regular spring. It was an absolute superbloom. So the big question is, what changed?
Why is this time so different?
Well, it came down to this perfect recipe, really. 3 key ingredients that all came together at the exact same time. First, big data. The internet basically gave us this gigantic library of all human knowledge for AIs to learn from. Second, you need the muscle, powerful computer hardware, specifically the GPUs that were originally designed for video games. And third, the secret sauce, the algorithms. Decades of research into how to build neural networks finally hit a point where they actually worked, and worked well.
And once you had that recipe, oh man, things just took off. It was explosive. In 2012, a model called AlexNet completely changed the game for image recognition. Then in 2016, AlphaGo beat the world's best Go player, a feat that experts thought was decades away. All of a sudden, the impossible started becoming possible. Which brings us to today, with AI that can write poetry, create stunning art, and translate languages instantly.
And this is where it all comes full circle, isn't it? Those ancient dreams of mechanical helpers, of bronze giants, of clay protectors, they're here. They're being realized right now. Sure, it doesn't look exactly like a giant made of bronze, but instead of that, we have world champion game-playing AIs. Instead of magical servants, we have systems that can see and understand the world. The shape is different, but the core dream? It's undeniably here.
So just think about that for a second. We have basically achieved a goal that humanity has been dreaming about for thousands of years. The ancient dream is now a reality. So that leaves us with one final, kind of huge question. What on earth do we dream up next?